Dollar store. Dollar store, King Griffin. Belly full of fraud, same game, cheaper suit, same trip to the yard. Citadel or Virtue, don't matter the brand. Both getting fitted for them orange jumpsuits, fam. King got the billions, Doug got the buffet. Both shorting mom and pop dreams every day. Ken pay to play with the memes and the fines. Doug do it sloppy, leave crumbs in the lines. One went to Harvard, one Paul Weiss. Both ended up middlemen for Island Express. Ken by politicians, Doug just buy wings. Same destination, different price on the bling.
Ken freezing the buys, Doug hiding the FTDs. Both laughing at retail while they counting the cheese. Ken got the PR team, Doug got the sweat stains. Both got the names on the same damn chains. Epstein flight logs, bad boy, white parties. One paid for the jet, one bill for the lawyers. Ken rocks the polo, Doug rocks for Excel. Same cell block coming, ring that prison bell. Dollar store, Ken Griffin, knock off overlord. Same naked short, same dirty reward. Don't matter who's rich or don't matter who's loud. Both doing life when the tapes hit the cloud. Dollar store, Ken, Hillary Clinton's little pond. Same Soros game plan, same little con. Ken got the billions, Doug got the buffet. Both shorting mom and pop dreams every day. Don't matter who's rich or don't matter who's loud. Both doing life when the tapes hit the cloud. Yeah.
All right. Sweet. Yes. We are here. Thank you all for coming. I'm sure people will trickle in, but this is kind of mostly an update because there's all these different videos I want to do, and then I just keep finding more and then more. And it's just kind of crazy how it's all out there. It's almost like they're bragging about it, about their crimes. I mean, I guess they kind of are. But anyway, we're going to go through a lot of stuff that has been coming together and is relevant. A lot of people didn't really see the connection between GameStop, Bed Bath & Beyond, MMTLP, and Jeffrey Epstein and Venezuela. But turns out they're actually quite connected. So let's see. Will be a tiny bit of skipping around just because it's there's just a lot going on. This is kind of, anyway, we'll just explore this together. So all right, so this guy right here, he also shows up right there ringing the bell. So this guy is, what's his name? Richard Grasso, right? You'd think that that'd be Doug Sifu's name for how he is, Grasso. For anyone who speaks Spanish will know, or Grasa, I guess. But so let's see. So this guy, he was CEO of the New York Stock Exchange, right? And lots of stuff happened in the New York Stock Exchange. For example, Knight Capital glitched out. When was that? Like 2014 or something. And they said like $400 million was lost, but the reality is that was probably just shares. There's also derivatives involved. So who knows? That could have been a heist of like billions of dollars. I'm sure it was. Because they were competing with other market makers. I think UBS had UBS and Citadel and someone else. And so it's like, I think the plan was like, hey, let's just blow up our own company. And, so they did, right? So they lose a bunch of money, but then they get paid to lose money. It's the classic mafia bust out, right? So you pump something up, you get insurance on it, you gut the inside of it, and then you burn it down, right? So they do it over and over with only slight variations, but it's always the same players. And that circle is getting like it's starting to really make sense who all those people are, and it's kind of interesting. So this guy, so he's New York Stock Exchange CEO. He's chairman of the Economic Club of New York, right? So if you just like make, diagrams of who all is in each one of these groups, and then you start connecting the dots, like you start to see some patterns that are, hard not to see, right? But he's also, this is one that I'm from the West Coast, so literally kind of nothing about East Coast makes sense to me, or I didn't even know much about it. So, partnership for New York City. Apparently that's a big thing. If you look at all the players and who started this, David Rockefeller, right? Yeah, I think that was who did it. Partnership for, yeah, David Rockefeller. Just making sure. It's a lot of people. So anyway, you can see like this oil money always being kind of central, and also just the world mob also being central. So we will be exploring that. Like it's kind of interesting. The transition team, the president of the Partnership for New York is on Mamdani's transition team. This Richard Grasso guy is a member of the International Investment Committee for the Federal Reserve. And if you look at all the Federal Reserves, as far as holdings go, like how many stocks each one actually has, the Federal Reserve of New York is way bigger than all the rest. So if he's internationally moving around money, that's a big deal. And that's how Jeffrey Epstein was making money. Is what they do is, say you're going to ship a bunch of drugs, the person that's buying them will pump a stock, like a penny stock, whatever it is. And then the person that's selling it will then short it down, right? So they borrow those shares and sell them into the market. And so then, the stock comes back down after it gets shorted, and that amount that it comes down is profit. And so they can actually use that money, a huge percentage of that money, and for whatever they want. And it's actually tax free until they actually close their position. So say you have a penny stock and it goes from a penny to $1, and then the drug lord shorts it down back down to a penny, right? And then it just trades at a penny, right? That means you got 99 cents on the dollar, basically transferring it to whoever you want, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. Also, if you do it through the Cayman Islands or wherever, and since it's a short position, you don't even have to report it, right? So it's like untraceable and tax free. And if they found it, it was technically legal, right? So this is what they've been doing. This is what Jeffrey Epstein was doing from the beginning. He was doing something with oil futures at Bear Stearns. You can actually read about it, exactly what he did. There's articles about him getting in trouble for that. So he does it for several years, transfers billions, millions of dollars for, the black market, and then gets a slap on the wrist. And it's like, okay, well, Bear Stearns is like, oh, we didn't know he was doing that, we'll fire him. He gets fired, and then goes on to, at that point he becomes a made man, right? Because he took one for the team. And so anyway, this short selling, especially naked short selling, especially international naked short selling, is the center of what Epstein does. You have to have multiple factors to make that work. One is you have to have a stock that that you can move the direction of it either way, right? So one, that means that like you have to either be able to pump that stock or dump that stock, right? And so how would they pump it? Well, say you're at a small company and you need to pump it. Well, you just get JP Morgan, who is working with Epstein, to set a high price target, and boom, maybe say you're buying drugs, you could have someone else pump it for you, right? And then you're just getting the drugs for free. So so JP Morgan could raise their price target. They could say, oh, we're doing a partnership. Some company could say they're doing a partnership, right? So they need banks and they need executives to be part of this, either within the company or out of the company. And if they're within the company, right, then you know the direction you can take it, which is down. So say, I don't know MMTLP as well, or MMAT was what it was, I guess, before. But people that are part of it told me the formula is the same. The board was infiltrated with bad actors. But as far as Bed Bath & Beyond, it's a lot more clear. It was Mark Triton. It was, Harriet Edelman. It was Gustavo Arnauld, who turns out he's Venezuelan. So I mean, that's kind of interesting given the current circumstances with the situation in Venezuela. So, all right. Just tiny bit distracted. Hey, Alpha. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for stopping in. So let's see. All right. So we got this guy. So if you're going to be moving a lot of money, you need the regulators to be on your side, right? So you have, well, we'll get back to her. Catherine Rumler, right? She's from Goldman Sachs. She was White House counsel, like head White House counsel for Obama. And then you have, and then was a board of governor for FINRA, right? So FINRA is supposed to stop manipulation like this because it'd be very obvious if you're looking at the charts, if you can see all the data, the trade data, it should be incredibly obvious that money is being transferred, but apparently it's not. So, or apparently, like, there's so few people that have access to that data or are in a position to do anything about it that they can get away with basically murder for a long time. So what else is interesting about this Richard Grosso guy is, and I don't have like an order plan for everything, so sorry. This is just kind of the raw thing. It's been building up for a long time. There's been so many things and they're really cool connections. So hopefully something sparks something you research. So we got the Federal Reserve of New York, and we got trustee of the New York University. That's where Jeffrey Epstein went to college, right? So whatever, we don't know exactly what Greek letter society he was part of, but I know that he had to have been because, they all are. I'm not saying every Greek letter society is bad, but like, it's always something I look for. So it's also where he and Ghislaine would go. I think they would also go to the New York School of Art, was maybe where they would pick up girls more, but they would also go to New York University. But he also knows two important people there, John Paulson and James Rosenwald. So there's definitely some threads to pull in there. He's on the advisor board of Yale Management, which is basically kind of like Harvard Corporation. And so it's like, say you were gonna, I mean, like I wouldn't be doing global drug trade, but if I was, that's what you do is you take an endowment fund, got like tax-free money, or some NGO money or whatever. And you use them as the ones that are pumping the stock to buy the drugs or whatever it is. So say you wanted to buy drugs, you just go to Yale Management, Harvard Corporation, you donate a bunch of money, or buy a piece of art from their auction or whatever it is. That money goes in to pump the stock. The drug lords or the sex traffickers, whoever it is, short the stock down, and money is then transferred, and you get a tax write-off for donating to Harvard or Yale. Yale doesn't really lose any money. They could write it down as a loss possibly, or a portion of it. And then the drug lords or whoever it is on the other side of the trade is also doesn't have to pay taxes on this money, right? So yeah, once you know like the formula, you just start looking and it's just like always the same. Like it's so obvious, and it was so validating because I made a lot of claims, and then when the last Epstein file drop came out and Catherine Rumler was, well, it turns out she was the one that Epstein was emailing the most. Like a lot of people were like, oh, maybe Michael's onto something. And then when, this morning when General Mike Flynn quote tweeted my my post, then a lot more people were like, okay, maybe there really is something here. So it's been hard to present because most things that are bad don't happen right out in the open, or they're not like posted. Irrefutable evidence is not posted on the internet, most of the time. So it's kind of hard, even if it's like obvious. The good thing is it's obvious to know where to look, but having access to that evidence isn't always there. But turns out Wikipedia actually has, let's see, like this guy, right? We'll just read it from his Wikipedia so people know I'm not like, I'm not lying about this, right? So this is good old Richard Grasso. He's part of a couple other things. Centurion Foundation. I didn't look into that yet. Lower Manhattan Development Court. I'm sure that's also full fraud. New York City Police Foundation. Right. He's on. These are all things he's on the board of. Right. So with this crime, he can just be like, tell the police, hey, yeah, don't look over here, and they're like, yeah, okay, we won't look over there. Just crazy. So it says on June 26, 1999, Reuters reported that Grasso met with Colombian rebels, the FARC. Those are the main. So people are like, oh, Venezuela isn't the one that's like, it's Colombia. It's like, yeah, Colombia is the one that's growing the coca plants, but then they ship them to Venezuela, who then ships them to most likely Jamaica. I mean, they have multiple channels. They're not just going to always use the same channel, right? So, but I mean, the first part of it's probably always the same, which is, you got Colombia to Venezuela, and then Venezuela to either Mexico or to Jamaica, depending on maybe if it's even a West Coast, East Coast thing where they're selling these drugs. But it's yeah. So it's kind of interesting to see that it's just like right here. It's like not, it's on their Wikipedia page, So FARC is considered a terrorist organization by the U.S. State Department, and is allegedly responsible for kidnapping and narcotics trafficking in order to bankroll their revolutionary activities. In the article quoted Grasso as saying, I invited members of the FARC to visit the New York Stock Exchange so that they can get to know the market personally. What? Some found meeting inexplicable, considering the FARC supporters anti-capitalist ideals and has no officially recognized financial clout. Grass told reporters that he was bringing a message of cooperation from the U.S. financial services. Okay. So he's like, oh, I'm trying to convince them that capitalism is good. And it's like, oh my gosh, like that's such a dumb. So who else was doing the same thing? It was Warren Buffett, right? Okay, a lot of people are like, oh, Warren Buffett, he's a sensible investor. No, he's a drug lord, allegedly. Okay. So all of his children all have NGOs, and what do you know? Like 2 of his children both have separate NGOs. One just happens to be in Colombia, and the other one in Afghanistan, like the 2 places where you got cocaine in one, you got opium in the other to make heroin. They just so happen to have these NGOs to go try to help these farmers convert from selling illicit stuff to making something else. Okay, come on, get real. Like, there's no way that's what they're really doing. They're just have an excuse to fly their planes over there, stay in contact with all these, drug lords, and who knows, maybe even be the ones to directly bring it back. So, it's just crazy how it's all there. I actually, I don't have those pages up. I'll have to do that another time, but it's like, it's crazy that it's just how obvious it all is. So, CEO of GameStop, Ryan Cohen, he talks about risk-free compensation, these high-paid executives, right? Like who could he possibly be talking about? So this Richard Grasso guy became embroiled in controversies and lawsuits about his allegedly excessive pay package and 188 million golden parachute. So golden parachute's like the deal that you get when you leave the company. So all these criminals get their, golden parachutes. Like, hey, I ran drugs for everyone, for the CIA, everything. I made sure everyone was paid, so I get my golden parachute, right? Totally crazy. All right. So there's that guy, right? And this is something I just randomly found because like I just wrote another piece about Doug Sifu, and then I was like, hey, I wonder if Doug Sifu and this like New York partnership of New York like have any sort of overlap, right? And then that's when I found this guy and was like, oh, he was a director at Virtu Financial. Oh, that's fascinating. I don't know who this guy is. I'm pretty sure I guess his orientation, but sorry, I'm just getting over being sick. Definitely had kidney stones and some kind of flu during Christmas, New Year's. All right. So here's another dude, right? Okay. Share this tab instead. Okay. So, actually, should I show? So I'm just kind of touch on the post real quick. Just show some names because there's so many names. Like at this point, now that I've been doing this for a while, like I just always highlight them because it's like so obvious what's going on. But like it, and the other thing that's crazy is it sounds crazy to say things that were really old. I remember when I was in high school and I was like, why are we learning about World War I and II? That was so long ago. How would that possibly still be relevant? I remember thinking that during high school. Yeah, I was totally wrong. In fact, things that are way older than that, I'd say most important time period was like, I guess the fall of the Ottoman Empire is a huge one. And so like 1850, like when the Rothschilds built the Suez Canal or stole the Suez Canal. Yeah, that was a big deal. So you have the two doorways to the East and the West, because all this revolves around like the East India Company and the opium trade, slightly changed when, heroin and cocaine came out. That's why they were all focused on Germany because Germany had the lock on the heroin, right? So, because Bayer was there who was one making it. So all this like comes back to the East India Company, which started in like 1600, right? Which all started in the 1400s when some people in the region of Portugal and Spain went to Amsterdam and started the first stock exchange in the 1400s. So the idea of these stock exchanges have been where really messed up things happen. Well, it's like that part of the after pneumonia where everything's raw. Okay. So anyway, so part of that whole time period was Cecil Rhodes went down to South Africa and helped the Rothschilds buy up all the diamond mines. So they did like a pump and dump, made it unprofitable for anyone else to have diamonds or mine diamonds. And then they bought up the monopoly on diamonds. Beers Diamonds did. And so then once they had a monopoly on diamonds, well, then they would do all the advertising to try and pump the idea, and they could release them in the market whenever they wanted to control the value of them, right? So anyway, Cecil Rhodes was like literally in random African villages, like sleeping with little African boys. And, so he's like, hey, we should do something more. He's like, Freemasonry is too boring. We need to have something, better. So he had like this, what was it, Club of the Elite or something like that. But that kind of morphed into just the Rhodes Scholarship, right? So anytime you see someone who's a Rhodes Scholar, not saying they're always going to be a pedophile, super satanic, but like probably, So Phi Beta Kappa, also that is just kind of continuous with the Council on Foreign Relations. So anytime you see that, it's obvious that they're plugged into that. So this is to jump around a little bit. So the reason I looked this up is because I was like, oh man. So supposedly Trump ran because Obama was taking over, doing this, like Marxist coup on our country. And some of the generals were like, bro, we gotta do something now or we're going to lose our whole country. So then they kind of formulated a plan. And part of that plan was like either A, we do a coup, take back our country, or B, we just like get someone elected. And so they're like, we'll try and get Trump elected. He got elected. But like, just because someone's elected doesn't mean like, if the whole, I mean, like when you realize like how corrupt this whole system is, like you can't really make very big waves. So I think what the first term is like just mainly evidence gathering and laying the groundwork, to be honest, because, I mean, Trump's a businessman. I don't think he's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to hire this person. Right. But like, who was it? Oh, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but one of the guys that I think when Trump appointed one of the CIA directors or something like that, this really fat guy from the East Coast, he's like a senator or something, can't remember what his name is. He told Trump that he had to pick that guy, right? So I think it's kind of like, hey, look, we'll just kill you. And so it's like, okay, all right, so yeah, I mean, it's not gonna happen overnight. And so anyway, I was, as I've been doing this research, I found it interesting that everything kept leading back to the Robin Hood Foundation and the Council for Inclusive Capitalism. And the Robin Hood Foundation is like connected with the Tibetan House, which even the Dalai Lama is literally paid by the CIA. And it's like, because that's, anyway, they were central to the drug trade for like literally ever. Like they've always been, even before the CIA, even before they were on the CIA's payroll, they were on other intelligence agencies like England's payroll. So anyway, like this Tibetan House, right? So yeah, the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, the Robin Hood Foundation, the Tibetan House, right? There, all these people keep linking back together in this radical liberalism, Marxism stuff. And I didn't realize this, but when Obama actually announced his candidacy for presidency, he announced it from the guy the guy's house, who was the founder of the Weather Underground, which is a domestic terrorist group. They were literally bombing random Americans just as acts of terrorism. So one, how did that guy even get out of jail? Because F that guy. And then how does Obama literally announce his candidacy from that, and people not think like, hey, maybe we don't want someone. I mean, like, hopefully he's a recovered terrorist, but like, shouldn't we make sure he's not part of that anymore? So then it's like, okay, well, was the plan then to do domestic terrorism, but with a bunch of imported illegal immigrants, specifically from, Venezuela, mostly? I think that was, right? So I was kind of thinking in like that angle. I'm like, okay, well, so then I just was like, I can't remember if I asked Grok or whatnot, but I was like, so who was like, basically, was anyone trying to help Venezuela when Trump put a bunch of sanctions on them, right? Because it's not just about the oil, right? Like obviously, we are expending our military and everything, and there's a lot more to the oil. I mean, one, we built the thing, right? We built all the drills. We built, like, that was all part of an agreement. So it's like, I mean, they made a deal with us. They can't just be like, oh, we're not gonna hold up our end of the deal. It's like, you and what army, right? So yeah, anyway, so because they ended up funding all this bad stuff like election rigging through Smartmatic, all that kind of stuff, and there used to be Murder Inc., which was all the different mafias, Italian mafia, the Jewish mafia, etc. They decided to just kind of unify their hitman squads. So they just had Murder Inc. So you could just basically pay for a hit. Didn't matter which mafia you were from, and they would just take care of it. So, but that's kind of problematic because Murder Inc., those were all people that have to stay living in America. And as time progressed and technology progressed, like evidence was easier to collect and whatnot. So it's like really hard because like, you can't have a long career. I mean, if you're a career assassin, you might kill one guy and then go to jail forever. So the value doesn't really make sense. So what's better? Well, you import someone from Venezuela, they come in, kill them, and then you just send them back to Venezuela or wherever. And then no one will ever find them. Okay. So there was this transition from Murder Inc. to these foreign gangsters, and it's quite obvious. I mean, you kind of see different people that got killed, like the guy from InfoWars, or that one Democrat guy who was exposing Hillary Clinton. Like all those people, it's like, oh yeah, it was literally, some Latino gangsters, right? That did it, right? So anyway, you can't be like, they can't steal all that infrastructure, all that oil drilling infrastructure and everything, and then worse, use that money to fund, election interference, assassinations in our country, drug trafficking in our country, right? Like, so all that's definitely, not acceptable, right? So anyway, I was like trying to think, like, so if Trump, back in 2017 was sanctioning them, who was it that was stepping up to help them? Oh, Seth Rich, that's who it was. Yeah, thanks in the chat. Yeah, R.I.P. So I looked that up, and here's an article, right? Venezuela opposition, right? Their opposition government accuses Goldman Sachs of financing the dictatorship, right? So that's all the way back in May of 2017. So I'm like thinking, like, Catherine Rumler's from, this is her. She's from the whole Jeffrey Epstein circle, really tied in it. There's, she has tons of these emails. So I was like, I wonder if Goldman Sachs is just the major connection. And here's their CEO, right? Who is this guy? I can't remember his name. Like, so many people, and I care so little about them that it's like hard to Blankfein or whatever. Yeah. So let's see, where is this? Anyway, so this guy here is with Ghislaine Maxwell, right? And everyone's like, oh, Trump, right? That one, I mean, I'm not an apologist for him. Like everyone can, whatever. But they were clearly, since the very beginning, Epstein's real goal was this Marxism crap, right? I mean, this is, so it's like this, for example, is Ava Anderson, and this one's censored. I just included it because it has the little thing at the bottom, like, hey, this is my boyfriend or whatever. I think he's from the CIA. So like the other picture I found didn't have that. So, but yeah, it's Ava Anderson, which he dated. Jeffrey Epstein, you can see how young he was there, right? So this is like his Bear Stearns kind of era, which Bear Stearns was doing business with, like a lot of business with JP Morgan. So she ends up marrying Glenn Dubin, who was one of the 3 founders of the Robin Hood Foundation, right? And then they still stay together. And if you've ever heard his voice, I'm sure. Anyway, sure, a lot of weird stuff happened between them and that couple. But he also dated her daughter, right? So he dated her and then dated her daughter. Like that's pretty freaking weird. So anyway, like, so if this was really the direction they were going, like, I can't really imagine Trump at any point really being on board the whole Marxism thing. But either way you swing it, from 2004 on, they were definitely enemies, and it was very clear. And I found it very interesting, actually, in the latest Epstein file drop, that Bill Pulte's grandpa was in there as being another enemy of Epstein. So basically, there's like 2 sides of this thing, and at that time, Epstein was in with Bill Clinton, with all these powerful people, right? Ends up being really in deep with Obama. And so there you have Trump and Pulte, and Bill Pulte going against them in a time when that was not very easy to go against, not very favorable, right? So that's also the time when then his company then got DJT got shorted into the ground and bankrupted. So anyway, so looking at like the actual connections, right? Like what was their real goal? And one, their real goal was consolidation of all these big banks. You have the repeal. So Epstein went in and had Bill Clinton repeal the Glass-Steagall Act, which allowed all these mergers to take place. And it's like crazy to see. I've been trying to outline it. There's just so many different banks that literally consolidated. And it's like crazy to see how connected. It's like, oh, he's friends with, the CEO of the bank of both banks, the bank that gets acquired and the bank that it does the acquiring. It's like, oh, is that a coincidence? Yeah, I don't think so. And why did they do that? Well, it's because they were using the bank of BCCI. Anyway, it's a bank in Pakistan, right? That was what the CIA was using for all their money laundering, that and UBS. So I think when they lost that, and suddenly they're moving into the electronic era, and it's a lot easier to, have evidence of things because there's like a digital trail. I think that then they realized like, hey, we just need to merge all these banks and just consolidate everything. So they did. Probably going to go into that later on another stream. It's just so many banks to go through. You have like Travelers Bank, and Chemical Bank, and all these different ones end up merging in Washington Mutual. So here's the CEO of Goldman Sachs, right, with Ghislaine Maxwell, and he's funding, at this point, 2017, he's funding Venezuela to keep doing what they're doing: cocaine trafficking, election tampering, all that stuff, right? So that's why it's really important. And so I was looking at his. Oh yeah, so much has happened. Like, I mean, I've just been going kind of full speed. doing research. But so this Blankenfen guy, he's a supporter of gay marriage and has been a spokesman for the Human Rights Campaign. Well, Human Rights Campaign and Human Rights, what's it called? Oh shoot, the Human Rights Watch. Yeah, I think that was what it was. George Soros is definitely like the one funding those. George Soros is deeply involved with the Clinton Foundation. So here's this guy, the CEO of Goldman Sachs with the Clinton Foundation. So Blankfield argued. Oh, I forgot to include the. Oh, I had it there, but so in April 2022, right? So you can kind of like if you can kind of imagine what's going on, right? So what Trump's trying to do, and then what this guy's trying to do, and what probably was going on in Disney, right? I have some research I've been doing. Disney, is it Spain? I think they got some really dark stuff. They were anyway. There's definitely some weird stuff going on there. But anyway, so in April 2022, Blankenfein argued that revoking Disney's special status enshrined in the whatever Improvement Act, due to the company objecting to Governor DeSantis' view on Florida House bill, right? So they have like this special status where, like, I don't know if there's like less law enforcement or whatever, or they have their own law enforcement. Basically, like, crimes have probably been happening there. And if you just look at Britney Spears today, she was part of the Mickey Mouse Club. I don't know. There's definitely some bad stuff going on there, allegedly. And so it's kind of interesting, that you have, this guy trying to stand up to keep this. Why would he care? Why would he care? What would be so bad about that? It's like, if you have nothing to hide, on June 1st, 2017, Blankfield posted his first ever tweet joining Twitter in 2011. So this guy joins Twitter in 2011, doesn't post a single tweet until 2017. And what does he say? He condemns President Donald Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Accord, saying today's decision is a setback for the environment and for the U.S. leadership position in the world. Hashtag Paris Agreement. Well, so where does that money go? So you have, so basically you buy carbon credits from the Cayman Islands, and they promise to, plant some trees in Africa or something, but they don't. Then they take that money, they give it to FTX, and then they wire it back to people like Houston Wade, who have their own carbon credit company. And then he then somehow gets money to people like Elizabeth Warren, right? Who he worked with. He interviewed Al Gore, right? Who invented carbon credits, right? So that was the circle, is basically they have these companies full of money and generating money, but that's public money. So they're like, okay, well, we don't, like, instead of investing in just like the companies and in their health, what they do is they just scoop out the actual cash. So they pull the cash out, say, hey, we're going to send this to buy some carbon credits. We're going to send this to some NGOs. We're going to help women, or, DEI stuff. And then that money just gets sent right back to all the people that have been setting up this con. So, yeah, so they keep doing it. So they're just draining all these public companies, and then they're betting against them so that so that they short them. Then when they go bankrupt, they make a lot of money, right? And then the bigger companies buy them up for pennies on the dollar, and all this consolidation happens. And at the end, there's just a huge monopoly, and then they can just raise prices or do whatever they want. So we're kind of towards the end where there's basically just a monopoly. I mean, how many things at the store are not from Nestle or, you know, one of these companies that just owns everything, right? So yeah, the Paris Accord, total scam. They were even, it's not just each company, but a big part of that was the Poseidon principles, which is that they would basically do a shakedown and extort money in these shipping lanes, right? It's like, oh, well, these boats are, you know, the ones that are really causing a lot of, you know, environmental damage. So you got to pay up, right? So, so then shipping is more expensive, right? So he gave 50 grand to the Robin Hood Foundation, you know. So he's Blankenfeen is on the board of directors of the Partnership for New York City, right? So there's that again, which, like I said, was created by David Rockefeller in 1979. This one was like kind of crazy because, you know, for people who've been following the Bed Bath & Beyond bankruptcy really closely, this law firm shows up, and now also, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of these like firms, you know, whether financial firms or legal firms, like I feel like, I don't know if Trump's trying to capture them rather than just like get rid of them. So I don't know if some of different ones are good now that used to be bad, like Apollo Global Management used to be really bad. I don't know. Are they good now? Maybe. Not really sure what's going on, but so I kind of withhold judgment on the institutions themselves. But it's also kind of weird that there's like kind of this shill guy that came in, did like an emergency halt on the bankruptcy. You know, he pretended to be a shareholder. And then it just so happened that he was like cousins of someone at Proskauer Rose, and they found that out. So I don't know, some weird stuff. But so Blankenfeen worked, his first job worked for Proskauer Rose. And he was doing precious metal salesman, right? So when we know how manipulated the precious metals are, especially like silver and stuff. But at Proskauer Rose, I don't know if it's specifically him, but Proskauer Rose represented Silverstein Properties, owner of the World Trade Center, that were destroyed in the terrorist attacks on September 11th. And that was something Trump said. He's like, hey, they never solved what happened at 9/11. And it's like, wait, I thought solving it was what we did by invading Afghanistan and Iraq. And, you know, it's like, no, that wasn't right. So the real perpetrators, right? Larry Silverstein, he literally bought the World Trade Centers, which were already condemned because they had a bunch of asbestos. And it would have cost billions of dollars to renovate them and get all the asbestos out. So what does he do? He buys it, and a month and gets insurance on it, like crazy insurance that's never been pulled out before, where it like includes in case a domestic or a terrorism attack happens, right? Like that's not normal. That was the first time it ever happened. And gets him double insured. And then 1 month later, like literally a month, he didn't even pay like the insurance company 2 months worth of he literally just 1 month, and then boom, 9/11 happens, right? Which, like Gaddafi said, he's like, well, where did the planes that hit the World Trade Center, did they take off from Afghanistan? He's like, no, they took off from JFK Airport, right? He's like, that means that it happened in the United States, which is 100% true. Then you see that it's like, oh, the FBI knew exactly who they all were. The CIA knew who they all were. Hillary Clinton was she governor of New York or whatever at that time, or senator? There's lots of things wrong with that situation, right? Building 7 wasn't hit by anything and just randomly falls, right? And insurance is collected on it. So So anyway, like it's just kind of weird. Oh yeah, also the second in command at the CIA, Buzzy something. He he bet against the American Airlines. Literally the airlines that hit the towers. He bought like a week before, he bought a ton of put options. It's like literally maxed out. He bought all the ones that you could possibly buy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy that we knew that. And we still just were like, nah, we're just going to go in the Middle East and kill a bunch of people. And then like Trump said, he's like, like not only did they do that, they didn't even like then keep the oil. It's like, who really was in charge then? Right. So it's not even, you can't say that the US was going into Iraq to get oil because we didn't get the oil. So what's going on there? But these are questions that a lot of people, aren't really asking. So, all right. Oh yeah. The last thing, I guess. So this guy, I was looking at who else was part of this New York partnership for New York City. And one of the other guys that he just showed up on their Wikipedia page. So one of the, I guess, high ups, he's on their general counsel, is this guy. He's the senator. He's still a senator, or was anyway. Brad Madison Hoylman, right? So Phi Beta Kappa, Rhodes Scholar, Harvard Law School, Paul Weiss, which is where Doug Sifu is from, where my cease and desist is from, that they sent me when I started exposing his alleged connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Also, everything I'm saying, by the way, is all alleged or entertainment, or both. So, yeah, I mean, if you happen to research it yourself and think it's a fact, that's fine. But what I'm doing is just entertaining. It's also why I include screenshots, is because that way people know I'm not just like typing up random crap. Okay. So this was kind of crazy. It's just interesting because, like, speaking of Doug Sifu sending me a cease and desist, man, he got so mad. And then, and a lot of people thought it was crazy until, I'm saying, hey, you're connected to this Frederick Fekkai guy. He was your client, right? That's all I said. I wasn't saying, I don't know. I was just like, he's your client, right? And then Doug Sifu comments, he says, Frederick Fekkai was not only a client, but is a dear friend. And I think a lot of people are like, wait, what? He's not denying it. And it's like, because you can just Google it. There's documents, legal documents, accusing Frederick Fekkai, this guy, of basically he's like, oh, trying to get underage girls from Hawaii, traffic them. Anyway, so and I didn't see anyone else pick this up because maybe people aren't super deep in the Doug Sifu world. But so in this email from Epstein, he's talking to Catherine Rumler, FINRA board of governor, and he says Catherine Rumler to have the glam squad at her New York apartment, right? And I'm thinking, man, when I saw that, I don't know that it stood out to anyone else because, why would it, right? But I'm like, this has got to be Frederick Fekkai. And sure enough, Giovanni Vaccaro, right? He's he's a brand ambassador for Frederick Fekkai, and then also the Glam Squad. And so the Glam Squad is the Fekkai 5 collective. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's so crazy. Like, this is like keeps getting crazier and crazier. Like, I didn't even, like, at this point, I just don't even know. So this guy died at 39. Like, what could like he just had a heart attack at the gym or whatever? I mean, maybe COVID or whatever, but like, that's crazy. And then who else died? So 2 celebrity hairstylists from the same agency die. One was left in like the Middle East or whatever. Anyway, I'll let you guys read that post. It's just super bizarre. But it's like you think like who would have the dirt? It's like for me, like I don't have any insider information. Like no one tells me anything, which is really annoying actually, to be honest. Like I wish someone would clue me in. I think everyone thinks I'm some intelligence agent from some other place or whatever, but I'm really not. So I have no extra information. I just Google things, right? So so anyway, but like who would have the actual dirt? Well, it'd be these hairstylists, right? Mainly because it's like a prostitution thing. I mean, you can see some of them, like this chick, hairstylist. There was like a video. Anyway, went totally down that rabbit hole. It's I think that's just the thing is it's like you pay for a glam up, but really it's like a sex party or something. Not really sure. But that's the thing is they would know. They would know exactly what's going on. Okay. Also just to kind of look where people, so like this girl, Leonore, Frederick Fekkai, so she's part of the team with Frederick Fekkai, but also the New School. So if you don't know, the New School was started because basically they were too radical liberal, like for like Columbia University. So they're like, you know, professors that wanted to be more radical liberal started their own school. I mean, Columbia is already super radical liberal, so it's like kind of crazy when it's like, no, we got to go further. I think they remain good ties between them. It's probably easier to not have their image anyway for Columbia to keep their image, but still do the same stuff. Oh yeah, so wow, dude, I've done so much DD. It's like kind of actually funny to look back. So this is wait, who is this? What's her name? The photographer. Oh, come on. Anyway, she's the one that like is with she's here with Bill Clinton, but also I just realized I wasn't updating my chat. Handler, Rachel Handler. Okay, yeah, or Chandler. So Rachel Chandler, which she called this the Bronfman lady, the Bronfman sex cult lady mom. So I mean, they do kind of look pretty similar. I don't know if that's true or not, but she posted that. But she dated Tom Guinness, right, from Alcohol Guinness, and oh, I can go full screen. That's a little bit easier, like that. So this picture is wild. It's so funny. Like, it's just sad. Literally, all the pictures about Epstein. It's literally just people like the same pictures of Trump, and that's interesting. Literally, like this picture. I want to know about this picture, right? There's a lot of pictures I want to know about. But this one for sure, this Tom Guinness guy, right? Who's literally dating, you know, the one person that connects Pete. The one person that in one connection connects Jeffrey Epstein to P. Diddy on a lot of other people. I mean, here she is with Eminem, Bill Clinton. So he was, let's see. So he's on Rothschild Co., right? So already that shows that He's Lazard, Goldman Sachs, of course. And then here he is, the GIC, the Global Investment Committee for the Sovereign Wealth of Singapore. And that is where Jeffrey Epstein went with Bill Clinton. Okay. So then what happens there? And then why is that relevant today? Right. Well, where did Jerome Powell come from? Well, Jerome Powell came from UBS, or he came from a company that was acquired by UBS. Reed Co. or something. Dylan Reed, I think is the company name. But if you look at like there's like $3.5 billion worth of renovations that Jerome Powell is doing on the Federal Reserve. All those contracts go to benefit companies that are mainly owned by UBS and the Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund. Like, you can't make this stuff up. It's like, so all that money gets sucked out of our economy and goes over to Singapore or to UBS in Switzerland. So that's why it's like not a shock that we would go to Libya and Iraq supposedly for the oil, but then we come back with no oil. I'm not saying we should have gone there because that's super messed up. But why does no one ask that we didn't come back with the oil if that's what everyone's accusing us of? Kind of crazy, right? Who actually was getting the oil? I'm sure it's kind of like those contracts for the renovations for the Federal Reserve, right? They're going to, these international banks who are really pulling the strings. All right. Yeah. Anytime you put Doug Sifu on there, you gotta put Sean Tabor and A.M.E, of course. And the connections, lots of things that are crazy, right? It's like, here's this girl, she's a model for Rachel Chandler, but also for IMG. That's shoot, what is that? The agency that has a lot of power. I don't know. Look it up. Sorry, it's hard to just go. There's been so much. It's like I just got to catch up. But also in here you see so Sabrina Guinness shows up. Hugo Guinness shows up. These are when it looks like that. It's from the Epstein files. And then there's the Guggenheim shows up. So let's see. Which post was it before this one? Oh yeah. Whoops. See, I get like this post was from back in the day, right? Back in the day. It was last year, but yeah, I definitely saw the Catherine Rumler. I was like, dude, it's already on her Wikipedia page that she's literally with Jeffrey Epstein. So okay, so now we're going to move on to this. This is yeah, thanks for chilling with me on this nice Sunday night. Because I've been like finding all this stuff, and it's just like I've been wanting to share it. I've been making some posts, but it's like so hard because like when you zoom out, it's just like like, and this is like literally just one. This isn't even like, so my computer's not even having a good time trying to. So I started other ones. But I think this is one of the main ones. I probably should show it in the other. I'm just going to kind of swing around here. just for anyone that's interested, I wouldn't mind help to, oh shoot, what's going on? So I'll just share the entire screen. Yeah, I wouldn't mind help figuring some of this stuff out, because or at least compiling it. I mean, there's just so much stuff that it's like I need to even like label. I wish you could like have multiple people working on the same Obsidian file. I don't think you can, which is a real big tragedy. But so one of the founding members, like, so I'll just kind of go around here. If anything sparks your interest and you want to look into it further and send me stuff or post yourself, that'd be great. So we got one of the founding members for the Robin Hood Society is this guy, Alan Schwartz. And some of these people might be obvious to other people. I don't know. I just don't. I've never really cared about politics or finance because I thought they were corrupt. Now I know they're absolute cesspools. So, but anyway, he was the chief executive officer at Bear Stearns, just like where Jeffrey Epstein worked. And, you know, they were central to the Iran-Contra. They were the ones funneling the money, or at least one of the main ones funneling the money for the Iran-Contra, right? So obviously this guy is doing really bad stuff. Let's see. Guggen. Oh yeah. So he is the executive chairman of Guggenheim Partners. So Guggenheim kept coming up. Guggenheim Partners. This is the Guggenheim family. So you have Solomon Guggenheim married his daughter married Victor Henry Rothschild, right? So then you have Rose Guggenheim. Anyway, they marries the nephew of Solomon Loeb, right? So if you know your banking cartel people, the Loeb family, the Rothschild family, you know, and the Guggenheim family, it's like, oh, what do you know? They're all intermarried. You have another marriage in between. Cora Guggenheim married Louis F. Rothschild. So here are all the companies that they own. Didn't have time to go deeply into all these, which I don't doubt what I'd find. A lot of them, because all these banks have to back their money with something. So a lot of them own mineral companies. So they either have to have oil or minerals. And I mean, you can imagine what happens at these different mineral mines off the radar, like in Peru or whatever. Like, just horrific stuff happens there. But the one that caught my eye, because I knew what I'd find, was Newsday. Like, oh, I didn't know that they kind of own that. So Newsday, like, who do you think owned it? Well, Robert Maxwell, right? Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. Okay. It's like, dude, you can't make this stuff up. So so I think Jeffrey Epstein's job was he was consolidating the banks, but Robert Maxwell's job was consolidating the media companies. That's what I think that he was involved with. So, and then, yeah. So, and the people before that, right? The Rockefellers and all that, they were consolidating all the energy, you know, so the oil and the minerals, right? So you had like kind of 3 generations, and each time there was a person doing a specific thing. So you had David Rockefeller and Lord Rothschild, and they were consolidating all the mineral mines and the oil companies. And you had Robert Maxwell is consolidating. I mean, I wish AI was powerful enough. It will be probably pretty soon to just say, hey, draw that all up for me, because, you know, just be easier to have it do it. And then Epstein comes in and consolidates all the banks. Oh yeah. So Guggenheim Partners, right? You have their, mainly they kind of shifted into art, right? And a lot of this kind of whatever modern art type stuff. And who are they? At their gallery, they had performances from none other than Marina Abramovich, right? And it's not like, oh, well, we didn't know all the way back in 2005 that she was the head witch of the world, and part of, you know, the global drug cartel, right? Well, here they are in November of this year, or last year, I guess, technically, November 2025. Happy birthday, Marina Abramovich. And they have, anyway, just, it's, yeah, there's so much I don't even know what to get lost in, but here's her with Andy Warhol, so also part of the art stuff. Man, I mean, Andy Warhol literally, he had something called the factory, and at that factory they sold all the different drugs. And if you look at all of his friends that were there at the factory, each one represented a different drug cartel. And because like, not, they didn't even like hide it. It was like literally like, oh, this is the guy who brings in marijuana, this is the guy who brings in LSD, this is the guy who brings in cocaine, this is the guy who brings in meth. You know, it's just like, what the heck. So so this is kind of interesting right here. So Robin Hood Foundation had three founders. You got Paul Tudor Jones, Peter Borish, Glenn Dubin. Wow, I just realized David Saltzman. I wonder if that's like related to Nancy Saltzman, who's the Nexium Bronfman sex cult thing. That'd be crazy. Oh, that'd really be crazy. Anyway, if someone else can figure that out, that'd be great. So Glenn Dubin, right? This is who Epstein was sleeping with his wife and with his daughter, and probably him, who knows? So he was co-founder of Highbridge Capital, right? Who was one of the main hedge funds shorting GameStop. So him and one of the other founders, Paul Tudor Jones, of course, he's from Sigma Alpha Epsilon, which I'll show those. Maybe I do. Anyway, but he's, and also Louis Dreyfus, which that's like head of the mob. What else we got as far as mob relays? We got Dreyfus, Louis Dreyfus, Highbridge Energy, Mitt Romney. So it's like, that was super bizarre to me. Like, I mean, I guess I'm just kind of naive to politics, but like when like Mitt Romney and Dick Cheney came out, was Dick Cheney? Anyway, and endorsed Kamala Harris, I'm like, wait, what? But then I realized, you know, that Mitt Romney got like seed funding from Robert Maxwell. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really dark. Okay. So he was on the board of the Weinstein Company, right? So I kind of think that's actually why. Anyway, I hope that's why well, anyway, I hope that Harvey Weinstein is trying to make some kind of plea deal to give information, because he would know. He's in the middle of all this, and he got thrown on the bus, and so I'm sure he's not happy about it. Oh yeah, so they both came from E.H. Hutton, which was acquired by Lehman Brothers, right? So there was mainly let's see, anyway, there was just four main banks. So you had like Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs. What was the other one? Anyway, like that. So it's like just part of the monopoly, right? So what was this? Oh yeah. So then it ends up becoming Lehman Brothers and being split into then Morgan Stanley and Citigroup. Yeah, I mean, the different pieces of the puzzle would get shuffled around, and I think that's kind of how they made sure that everyone was on the same page. I don't know. I mean, it's just, you can see it's the same players shifting around, merging everything together and consolidating it. Netherlands, Louis Dreyfus. So something weird, right? So supposedly MIT or some other American institution was the one who invented the technology behind like the light, like the modern microchips that are being made. But they like gave that technology to the Netherlands, and I'm like, why would they do that? And it's like, oh, because that's, I mean, that's where the first stock exchange is, and that's where the mob has always been out of. So I guess it makes sense. We should get that back though. Oh yeah. So Hutton. Oh yeah. Carol Brookins. Okay. So someone else that's like works at E.F. Hutton. So right, both these people are flaming liberals, right? So this is like the head of radical left movement, right? And then you got another one of their lawyers, right, is hired by George H.W. Bush, right? And to do export counsel, right? So what was what was George H.W. Bush exporting, right? Guns for drugs, right? It's like freaking nuts. It's so nuts. And obviously this person is part of the Council on Foreign Relations. It's just so obvious. It's painful. World Bank, right? Of course, they're the executive director of the World Bank doing export for George H.W. Bush, like in the middle of the Iran-Contra affair. Sure, that makes sense. Wait, let's see. What was? Oh, this is kind of wild. This is definitely kind of wild. So there's been this India connection too. This is kind of, I guess, just the hardcore people that are they just want they just want it straight. Yeah, it's just gonna take me a long time to put all this into like a sort of flow, right? But I can bring up these characters, and then like as you do your own research, it might help or add to whatever research you're already doing. So this New Age movement, man, like that's the radical Marxism. Because Marxism is anarchism. It doesn't really care like what it's like. It doesn't have, its main principle is just that you have to destroy the status quo. So they don't care what destroys the status quo. They'll use anything. They just have to destabilize things. That's what they want, is anarchy. And then so they can, out of chaos comes order. They're the ones that are offering order. So this new age movement, and it gets really dark if people, I don't know what specifically people are interested in, but like, in like the 1100s, there was like this like renaissance of this kind of agori tradition, which is like this, it's kind of radical nihilism. Actually, not as much, more like a satanic nihilism, um, where I mean, which end up turning into cognitive behavioral therapy, which is just basically like so like the core of cognitive behavioral therapy is exposure therapy. So you expose yourself to something you are having an emotional reaction to, and you just keep exposing yourself until you stop reacting to it. The reality is you're probably reacting for a reason, and you can de-escalate it, right? I went to med school in the Caribbean. Almost got killed by a mob of people at the scene of an accident. And I didn't really, to be honest, I actually didn't believe in PTSD. I didn't believe it was a thing. But yeah, almost died for sure. Literally was like, and I'm sure the camera can't see it, but there's like a cut across, like when I pulled the windshield off, and I'm literally spraying blood on this crowd of people that's trying to attack me. It was super weird, right? So yeah, I was trying to help this guy that got in a car accident, and then people wanted to kill him because he hit a lady, and I'm like, dude, he obviously did not do that on purpose. But they were gonna kill him nonetheless. And so there I was in like the standoff, and they were like, we're gonna kill you to get to him, Whitey. And I'm like, anyway, that was crazy. I didn't really think much of it because I had other things to do. I had tests. I was in, an accelerated medical school in the Caribbean. So like a week later, I'm like driving, or I'm like walking down the street, and a truck with that does like has tar in it, hot tar for covering roads. I smelt that, and before I knew it, like I was in a ball on the ground. Like I felt myself like falling to the ground into like the fetal position. And before I hit the ground, I was like, wait. And I like kind of stopped, and I like looked around. I saw the truck, flatbed truck with the, thing of tar in there. And I was like, okay, next time I smell this, the most likely thing it is not a mob of angry people trying to kill me. It's probably some, truck doing road work, right? So that was like kind of bizarre. And then I was on the bus a few days after that, and this guy just like started freaking out and was like saying he was going to kill the guy that was literally like crossing the road because, I don't know. And like my adrenaline went to max. I was just like, I have to kill him before he kills that guy. Like, it was like, I was already to the edge of my seat because I was like, I guess kind of close to the window. So I was like, boom, already to the edge of my seat. And I'm like, wait, like, do I, and I'm like, do I have to stop him right now? Or is it possible that I can wait to see if he chills out? Because no one else in the car was reacting. But then again, no one else was reacting when they were going to kill me and the other guy. So just thought the island was kind of that way. Yeah, it was just a de-escalation process where I had to logically de-escalate myself. So, I don't know. I mean, that's just the thing. Like, so the cognitive behavioral therapy is not saying you you logically de-escalate yourself by taking these triggers and challenging them, saying like, should it be this way? Remaking them say like, okay, yeah, we need a trigger, but not that volatile, right? So anyway, like, might be alone on this, but literally, I think cognitive behavioral therapy is like really, really messed up, and it comes from this agori tradition from from India, which, got kind of wrapped up in a nice wrapper called the New Age movement. But yeah, so you got this guy who partner with Paul Tudor Jones, right? They're business partners. Deepak Chopra. He has got a wellness center, Carlsbad, California. I think that was actually. Anyway, I think there was some gun smuggling stuff. Anyway, let's see what else we got in here. He launched Virgin Comics with his son, Gotham Chopra, and entrepreneur Richard Branson. Richard Branson's a freak. Okay, he's really messed up. Documents released by the U.S. House contain exchanges between Chopra and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. So is anyone shocked? Right? Is this the type of person that Trump's hanging out with? Real question. Is it Deepak Chopra? Does he even know who he is? Paul Tudor Jones, you think he likes Trump? No. Just saying. Like, it's just it's got Richard Branson. I guess this is just this was this guy's. So this guy was a top student of this guy, Maharishi Yogi, transcendental meditation. He's the one who invented it. Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions. Like, oh, so this is a spirituality thing, not a political thing. Spiritual Regeneration Movement and Center in Los Angeles. Okay. So you got Richard Branson. I'm sure there's more connections than this, but this was just kind of I found it, and I have to go back then and find more connections because I mean, there's got to be a lot. So his niece, Kate Winslet, good old opposite of Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic, which so she's doing fundraising for Afghanistan Relief Organization. Okay, so what were our soldiers guarding in Afghanistan? Opium. Okay, so all the same time period. Geez, like the amount of drug trafficking that was happening in like 1998, 1999 is just insane. So they were teaming up with nonprofit organizations, Evergreen Airlines, right? Okay. Evergreen Airlines, like you can't make this stuff up. So you got an Afghanistan relief organization working with the Central Intelligence Agency's airline. Okay. So who else is helping? The Mercy Corps. Let's see. Can't remember why this was. Dang, there was something. Oh, yeah. The founder. I was like, there's something big about this. So the founder of the Mercy Corps is this guy, Ellsworth Culver, publicly accused of sexual abuse by his daughter. Okay. In 2019, Culver's daughter, Tanya Culver Humphrey, publicly alleged that Culver had sexually abused her for a period of 10 years, starting when she was a young child and continuing into her teenage years. Humphrey also alleged that Culver made arrangements for men he knew to sexually abuse other children. So, I mean, if he's out there, right? So it's like, what a good excuse. You get the CIA's planes, you go there with your Mercy Corp, and you drop off a bunch of humanitarian things, and then they load up your plane, the CIA plane that no one's going to be checking because you're CIA, and then you fly the opium back to the United States, right? Super wild how kind of obvious it is. Hudson Institute. Oh wait, let's see. Was that part of this one? No, that wasn't part of this one. Man. How did we even get here? Let's see. Yeah, like I said, this just got so I mean, council. So if I had to pick, council on foreign relations is definitely a center. So is Goldman Sachs, Rhodes Scholarship, Robin Hood Foundation, all these Greek letter societies, mainly the Divine Nine, you know, like the Boule. I am kind of exploring this Bilderberg meeting, right? So you got Reid Hoffman, who's also part of the Council on Foreign Relations. Probably one of the biggest ones in the mob is KKR. Oh my gosh, because they came up in the bankruptcies of for sure Toys R Us, and they were even, I think they were in the Bed Bath and Beyond bankruptcy as well. But anyway, one of the main guys with the last name Kravis, his wife, Marie Jose Kravis, dude, she is connected. Holy crap. So Legion to Honor, like France was the center of, so they would pick the opium in Afghanistan and then they would refine it in Marseille, France specifically. And so the Legion of Honor has been center to the whole drug trafficking. So let's see. She's on the Museum of Modern Arts, LVMH, Federal Reserve Bank of New York. She's on all these boards, right? She's on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. That's her husband, Henry Kravis. Of course, went to Columbia, just like Doug Sifu. Oh, he also worked at Bear Stearns, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, Robin Hood Foundation, of course. Atlantic Council. So that's where Doug Sifu made his, I guess, was that his big move? He was working at Paul Weiss, and then he got connected with Virtu Financial through, oh no, it was the Atlantic, was the Atlantic Council? Shoot, actually, I don't want to misspeak. But either way, all the things that have Atlantic in the name are probably super corrupt. Like there's like 3 I have in my mind, and they're all really corrupt. So, so this lady, the KKR lady, she's also a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, where, you know, offers 2 annual awards, right? So who do they give it to? Rupert Murdoch, who's in the Epstein files. He was very close to Epstein. So was Henry Kissinger, who was also in the Epstein files. Benjamin Netanyahu was in the Epstein files. David Petraeus. I mean, he's just super bad. He's a bad dude. Also, I'm not sure if everyone knows he's gay, but he's definitely gay. So it's funded by, you know, Bill and Melinda Gates is one of the main ones. Pierre DuPont. Anyway, kind of just a spattering of things. You'll see people like the KKR guy, Henry Kravis. He's on, he's vice chairman of Rockefeller University. Obviously, Rockefellers. Richard Solomon, Council on Foreign Relations, Columbia University, Museum of Modern Art, trustee. Like it's the same stuff over and over again. He is an advisor for the Rockefeller family. This is Richard E. Solomon, right? They also all do, and the Rockefellers are center in the whole AIDS stuff. I don't want to be conspiratorial and say the Rockefellers invented AIDS to steal government money, but I don't know. Maybe that happened. Yeah, Museum of Modern Art. Oh man. So this is also where Marina Abramovich and all those weirdos are doing stuff. Honorary chairman, Ronald S. Lauder. Oh, what do you know? He was part of the mega group. Well, he was probably the main person in the mega group with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. Who's co-chairman? Leon Black. Well, all that money from at Apollo Global Management, right? Like the main two people that at least we know of the actual money in Jeffrey Epstein's bank account came from Leon Black and Les Wexner, right? But he had power and other things in other ways. So what do you know? You have two biggest Epstein people, Ronald Lauder and Leon Black. And you got Marie Jose Cravas again as president. And then you start looking at the board of trustees. Glenn Dubin, who founded was literally like one of the most connected people to Epstein, founder of the Robin Hood Foundation. You have a Bronfman. Okay, so you got sex cult stuff or sex trafficking cult. Who else we got in here? Oh, Michael Ovitz, David Rockefeller. Who else is? Yeah. Which one did? Oh yes, the CEO Peter G. Peterson, right? Chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations and CEO of Lehman Brothers, right? So these are all the people that he was deeply connected to. Oh yeah, under Peterson's leadership as chairman and CEO, the firm acquired Abraham and Co. in 1975, and 2 years later they merged with Kuhn and Loeb. Remember, we already talked about Loeb and Co. to form Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers, Kuhn, Loeb Inc., the country's fourth largest investment bank behind Salomon Brothers, Goldman Sachs, and First Boston. Okay, so this is who the banking cartel is these four banks: Salomon Brothers, Goldman Sachs, First Boston, and Lehman Brothers, right? So First Boston. So who worked for First Boston? Was it Doug Sifu's wife? Yes, it was, right? So they got bought out by Credit Suisse. Yeah. So then basically of this list, you just swap out First Boston for Credit Suisse. And then after 2008, then you swap out, anyway, it changed a little bit, but because Salomon Brothers was bought by JP Morgan and Lehman Brothers, I think that one was split up. I don't remember who got Lehman Brothers, but who else worked for who else got their start besides Doug Sifu's wife at First Boston? Larry Fink. It's also Kappa Beta Phi. Kind of interesting, right? Oh, this guy was. Is this the one I'm thinking of? What was John Whitehead? Brookings Institute, right? This was a big part of this was funded by the Bronfmans. Like the Bronfmans have their own department or whatever in the Brookings Institute, so they're super corrupt. Of course, the president is a Rhodes Scholar. He became a friend of future President Bill Clinton when they were both Rhodes Scholars. And all this happens at Oxford, right? Like why Oxford? Well, it's because all all companies, pretty much all big companies in the United States, especially all the Fortune 500 companies, are audited by 4 auditing firms: PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, KPMG, and EY. I didn't know this so recently. I thought KPMG was headquartered in Canada because they got in trouble for doing some stuff in Canada. It turns out all 4 are headquartered in London, right? And it's like, why on earth are we letting London know everything about our finances of our companies in our country? And they're auditing our government agencies. They're auditing everything. That means literally London knows everything we're doing. They can follow every dollar. I don't like that at all. I mean, I think we should get rid of those companies, just period, because they're super corrupt. But we should not allow a monopoly on auditing firms, and we definitely should not allow any auditing firm that's a foreign company audit American companies. There's no way. No way. So yeah. Anyway, that's why the Rhodes Scholarship is so powerful. What was this connection? Let's see. Oh, so this John Whitehead guy, I kind of want to, not sure if this was, John. I just don't want to misspeak. I think he was, started his career at Goldman Sachs in New York City. United States Deputy Secretary of State in the Reagan administration, which was doing the Iran-Contra affair. Great. American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He was chairman at different times of the board of Federal Reserve Bank of New York, because obviously. Andrew Mellon Foundation. Harvard Board of Overseers. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had an office at Harvard. He was director of the New York Stock Exchange. Wow, just like the other guy, right? He had a long association with the Rockefeller family. Just making sure this wasn't because there's this thing I found. I was a member of the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. See, there's like, that's the thing. There's like so many connections. It's like to even like, how would I? It's like, did I connect him to that? Let's see, Bilderberg Group. Yeah, it's just too far. So I didn't even know which ones to make like the center of it. But he was the head investment committee of the J. Paul Getty Trust. So J. Paul Getty, well, they're business partners with none other than Gavin Newsom. Like, small world, right? He's basically, he is his godfather, actually. Oh, this was a crazy find. So this Glenn Lowry guy, tell me that guy looks, dude, like, I don't know if you can see that well enough. That is so creepy. Look this guy up, dude. Literally. Yeah. Anyway. So he's the director of the Museum of Modern Arts, which connects a lot of the worst people. Obviously came from Harvard. Has an art gallery in Ontario. A lot of the mega group was based out of Canada, specifically Ontario. So of course he's got Order of Merit from France, which is basically, anyway. And the trust was started by the Rockefellers, right? Let's see where else should we go? Trying to think. What's up, Sean? Let's see. This is the Greek letter society that harasses me a lot. Alpha Epsilon Pi. Which the guy that mainly was doing it, I think, pretty sure is this guy, literally Neil Goldman. That's why Family Guy was having things about Bed Bath and Beyond. He did it to mess with us. It's like he's in the same fraternity as Sheldon Adelson, Mark Zuckerberg, who's doing all the censoring, doing all the election manipulation, Samuel Zell, and kind of the biggest one, Sandy Wheel, right? Sandy Wheel, CEO of Citigroup. Also, he was the mentor for Jamie Dimon, right? Who was BCG. I was going to follow this angle because BCG did some stuff in Angola. And it was just a long history of corruption, like literally hundreds of years, actually thousands of years of corruption with Angola. Oh yeah, Michael Bloomberg's from Salomon Brothers, right? So one of the big four. Yeah, Kappa Beta Phi is also, Sam Wheel is also part of that. What was this guy? Anyway. Oh, also like the corruption in Brazil. I've been meaning to finish going down this rabbit hole with this Eduardo Luis Saverin. So yeah, he was a co-founder of Facebook. So I'm sure there's going to be some stuff there. Like the fraud in Minneapolis or Minnesota. Man, it's just crazy when you to follow the money. Like this law firm, it's like a lot of it comes from this law firm, Robbins Kaplan. So both these guys are lawyers. This Munir guy, Steve Simon. So Steve Simon is he's the Secretary of State for Minnesota. So he's supposed to make sure there's election integrity. Obviously, so then he can let the elections be manipulated, put people in office like Keith Ellison or Tampon Tim, and then Keith Ellison, he partners as Attorney General, partners with Kaplan to make money against whatever it is, suing companies or whatever. And they're all connected through this Guthrie Theater, right? So it's always like these art places, not just for the money laundering, but because of the ideology and the people. Like it's like they can't, like it wouldn't be prostitution, it's performance art, right? Like so that's how they're kind of rebranding it. And so they get people, either that's how they groom people, or like, oh, let's do a performance art thing, and really it's just sexual abuse and stuff. So yeah, Charlie Zell. Oh yeah, so so Governor Walz puts him in charge of $4 billion worth of transportation money, and he has a transportation company, right? So of course they're going to do free transportation so they can put more buses out there and just make the taxpayer pay for it. So it's just how the corruption. So he'll give a kit back. Like you can see his political donations. He donates money to all these different people. Him, and and then they make sure that he gets the funding from the taxpayers. So it's just this. It's just so obvious. It's painful. Yeah, Museum of Modern Art. Jeez. Not sure which. Oh, well, that's for. You just can't really see that, but that's gonna be a crazy one right there. Just saying, that's definitely gonna be crazy. Let's give you a little preview. This is the Tibet House. Like radical Marxism, telling you like, ugh, um, uh, like here's Edgar Bronfman, right? It's his wife. Um, and she's part of the Tibet House, right? Um, literally, one of the guys with the Dalai Lama, his like right hand man, was dating one of the Bronfman daughters. So is the drug trade. So that's why Tibet is so important, because it's like right there. So it's like in between these two, right? So that's where they grow all the opium and crap, and this is where part of where they sell it, I guess. Oh yeah, also Tibet House. These connections to the Voice of America. So I mean, just all this CIA, like something that I had no idea, but like I didn't know that like Leon Trotsky literally came to New York and stayed there and was funded by New York to go in and spread Trotskyism, to Russia. Like I had no idea. So I mean, our government wants Marxism. Why? Well, because nationalism is built on just everyone works hard and tries to be as productive and capable as possible, so that you don't need a government, or you don't need that much of a government, right? And so, usually nationalism has strong leaders who inspire other people to be strong. Well, if you're a managerial class kind of Bolshevik Marxist government, you don't want anyone to be strong. So whereas in nationalism, everyone's prides himself on being capable, in Marxism, everyone prides himself on being a victim and being helpless. So the bigger a victim you are, the more access you have to the government programs and the government benefits. So all these bankers, these international bankers, they want each country to be helpless and divided and individualistic. And so Marxism literally is that. It's both economic model, philosophy, and even a spiritual thing. That's why, it's connected to Satanism, is because basically you create everyone's identity as a victim by giving them someone to be mad at that's being successful. So you promote jealousy, like a radical, irrational jealousy, is like the main indoctrination that you're trying to do, right? So yeah, it makes sense. So they're trying to spread it through these different things. They try to spiritualize it, and oh, just this is your independent spiritual journey. Anyway, I could go into that. Uh, can't. I'll have to. A-Grade Investments connects this guy. David Geffen was supposedly head of the gay mafia. So I mean, you can guess what Ashton Kutcher was doing, right? Maybe he's anyway, because he was poor, right? So maybe he was the male prostitute. Like, so actually, like the male prostitutes was like a big thing with. Oh shoot. Dang it. Marina. Andy Warhol. Yeah. So Andy Warhol had these like models, these dude models, but he's really just pimping them out for gay. They were gay prostitutes, right? So I'm sure that's what Ashton Kutcher was. She was poor. But anyway, A-Grade Investments, like, oh, what do you know? The founder, you got this guy, Harley guy. He's the agent for Madonna, right? Rosie O'Donnell. Anyway, Pepsi keeps coming up like everywhere. Man, even the bottling company there. I was doing some research on this glass company that was nationalized by Victor Hugo. Anyway, I think it was a lot about anyway, just a lot about drug trafficking, right? Because say you're just shipping lots of stuff everywhere, you're shipping these bottles of Pepsi, constantly everywhere. You have all these networks. It makes it really easy to sell their stuff. Let's see who else we got here. Yeah, I don't know if I finished that one actually. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. It's a lot of random stuff. I don't really know. Like I'm just trying to figure out, like, a lot of people think I'm just, sent by Pulte or something to just be pro-Trump. No, in reality, I'm literally trying to figure out what the sides are. And I mean, because I really want to know. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. But I'm just seeing some patterns, and it's like it makes me optimistic when I point out when I figure out who the worst people are. So far, maybe a list of like say this whole sheet, all these people. I'm like, okay, all these people are the worst. Then it's like most of them, almost all of them, hate Trump. So it's like that's just crazy to me, right? Because I'm not like building this like, hey, who hates Trump? No, I'm like trying to figure out who's doing the drug trafficking, who's doing the sex trafficking, who, things like this, like the elders. Has anyone heard of that before? Founded by Nelson Mandela. Some dark stuff coming out of there. Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations. Dude, this chick, freaking Mary Robinson. Baha'i International, totally a psyop for sure. American Philosophical Society, honorary degree from McGill University. Who is like the main one? Sponsored by the Bronfmans and the Mega Group, and where they were doing most of the MK Ultra. Oh yeah, it was McGill University. So, I mean, man, like that's literally like, yeah, there's so much bad stuff going on there. There she is with Gavin Newsom. What else? Oh, what do you know? She's getting an award from Obama. Like, this is a lady from freaking pretty sure Ireland, right? Let's see. Yeah, president of Ireland. Dude, get that witch out of there. This guy. Oh man. Whew. London School of Economics. That always comes up. They literally have pedophile information exchange, like where they're like using to traffic pictures of children and bad stuff. It's literally archived there out of all places. You can ask AI to verify that it's totally true. All these awards, not saying everyone that gets one is bad, but like I think that's how they do. Yeah, I think that's how their system works. Catham House, obviously really bad. Okay. Oh yeah, so it's kind of interesting, right? You got this guy who he's part of the elders, right? He's also here's no. Oh, they both are close to Hillary. He's Delta Epsilon, right? Well, so is Michael Eisner from Disney MGM, connected to DreamWorks, connected to David Geffen, right? It's like, what do you know? And also like the idea of like, you know, it is true that Jewish people are typically a monolith, right? But Reform Judaism is definitely the worst part of it. Like it's really bad. Well, actually, I don't know. Actually, I guess. See, I've been so confused, right? Like, because there was a guy that was the Lev Tor ultra Orthodox group that was literally sex trafficking kids. They moved around. They got invited to have safe harbor in Iran as long as they condemned Zionism. And I'm like, I don't know. That's like so crazy to me. It's like, there's no way. It's like if someone was like, hey, you know, I'm from whatever country, you know, I'll come to America, you know, and I'll betray my own country. It's like, no, dude, you're a pedophile. Like, get out of here. Like, if you come here, we'll kill you. So I don't know. That was like kind of weird. I'm like, so these ultra Orthodox people are then going for safe haven in Iran. But it's like so weird because then like, I don't get it because they have right of return in Israel where someone could sexually abuse a child here and go back to Israel and be safe. So I really don't know. I kind of hate that whole question, to be honest. Like it's really frustrating the crap out of me. I think everyone should stop abusing children. Not cool at all. But oh yeah. The Safari Club. Man, it's what's kind of alarming to me though is there's so many things that like no one talks about. And I mean, a few people I guess have talked about the Safari Club, but like Adnan Khashoggi, but like this is like I think Epstein bought this guy's boat, but that was also who he's working. This was like one of the main guys doing the arms trafficking. The Safari Club started when Iran-Contra ended, so they had to have a new place to do their operations out of. And they picked Egypt. Well, what's like right by Egypt that would allow you to control all of global trade? Somalia, right? So of course, that's what they were doing was they started arming Somalians and whatnot. So the Somalians, I mean, as much as it's a Democrat thing right now, the whole idea of us working with Somalia was the Safari Club, you know. It was to control basically the Suez Canal, and then it comes out into goes right by Yemen, right? So if you were there in Somalia, you could then kind of control that trade. Adnan Khashoggi got a wife from Elite Model Management. Oh Oh, this was a weird one. Shoot, I didn't put that guy's name. Yeah, somehow this guy married this girl. Okay, that's not natural. One, because he's oh, is this is Elizabeth Maxwell's partner? Yeah. Or one of the Maxwells, Robert Maxwell's kids married this guy, or was partners with this guy. He married her. She was from Elite Model Agency. So was Linda Evangelista, friends with Naomi Campbell. Linda is also a Ford Supermodels, who has like an exclusive thing with Ford Supermodels. Estee Lauder, remember Ronald Lauder? Which one was he part of? Anyway, lots of one mega group for sure. Who else? Who was the lawyer for Ford Models? Roy Cohn, Jewish mafia. Oh yeah. So then this guy gets his wife also from, or no, she model. Yeah, he gets his wife from Ford Supermodels. Then he's the like head of Ismailism. Like, it's like, dude, you can't make this stuff up. Like, literally, these intelligence agencies want to control everything, and part of it is through modeling, which they use for sex operations, like a sex operatives and everything. He also went to Phillips Academy. Dude, this prep school literally connects like all the worst people. It is insane to me. Chris Rye, he was the director of the FBI, totally corrupt. Peter Sellers, part of the Erasmus Prize in the Netherlands. That's everyone connected to that. That's weird. Oh, she also got the Erasmus Prize. So he did collabs with Andy Warhol. This JP Morgan. This was one of the main guys that started JP Morgan, Thomas Lamont. So he like expanded this greatly. So, I mean, he was like kind of, obviously JP Morgan is one of the main people in charge of this. So this started with opium money in like the 1700s, and just has always been the drug lords and slave traffickers that were doing it. It's like there's just so much. There's just so much. I'm not sure what people are really interested in. When I find something that's like kind of concise, I then try to share it. But so you actually put the Safari Club twice just because there's so much going on. Oh yeah, like so the Adnan Khashoggi, right? Jamal Khashoggi. So people are like, oh, he's just a journalist. No, dude, like he's part of the most powerful drug trafficker, sex trafficker, arms trafficker, like family in the entire world, right? And for what reason was Jeff Bezos just giving him $100 million? He has access to plenty of money, right? That's really weird, right? And he goes to his funeral, flies all the way out to Saudi Arabia or whatever for his funeral. Like, there's something not right about that. Also, Jeff Bezos, he didn't start Amazon in his basement. He was literally a hedge fund guy. And all the modern Satanism, they don't call it like, they're not like, ooh, I love Satan. They'll say Prometheus. They believe in the spirit of Prometheus, right? So what is this company called? Project Prometheus. I mean, it's possible some people are naive and they just don't know, but like, no, he knows. It's straight up like all the modern Satanists like worship Prometheus, which is really weird. Haven, a nonprofit, not for profit with Amazon. Berkshire Hathaway, right? So we just talked about how Warren Buffett is like literally has NGOs in Afghanistan and Colombia to help the drug traffickers possibly find a new type of business they can do. It's freaking so crazy. He's Tau Beta Phi. So this guy, yeah, I guess I found this because this guy, Jack Parsons. I mean, we're talking, I don't know, like it's like when you actually start doing the research yourself, which a lot of you have. Of course, whoa, I did not know this. Okay, that's cool. So this was like the main guy, the main Satanist guy, Aleister Crowley. I mean, there's also Helena Blavatsky. Yeah, but I mean, he was one of the main guys. So this guy came here and was one of the principal founders of the Jet Propulsion Lab and Aerojet. And let's see, formed the Caltech affiliate Guggenheim, right? Again, Guggenheim, telling you, man. Let's see. So he was big into. So anyway, he's getting all this government funding to do research, and just total Satanist, and mainly they were trafficking a bunch of LSD. That's really what they were doing. Let's see what else is here. Oh yeah, who else was part of that same group, right? Samuel Lindell, McGregor, Mathers, right? So you got Lewis Carroll. Dude, that guy, like, this was one of the tame pictures I could find, right? He has some really, really gross ones. Get to Michael Ovitz. Anyway, maybe that's good for now. Let's see. Yeah, sweet. Well, thanks for stopping by, everyone. It's kind of scattered, but I have someone that wants to do a stream this week, and so part of it's kind of just a dry run to see even what topics. Like, it's so hard to. I don't have an agenda. I don't have anything specific. I'm just mainly going after whoever is, in my opinion, making the world the worst place. So like, I'm just kind of shooting in all directions. Anyone that's doing bad stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. Kind of just a dry run. Also, I figure like the hardcore people that really want answers, you know, and hopefully people watching this later can watch it on 2x speed or whatever. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know. I mean, we're in a situation where it's like we're taught to be individualistic, to be skeptical of each other, to not work together, and really these people, you know, it's when they all worship money, like they have the same exact religion. Like, it's straight up like they want to see a contract that's favorable for them and they sign it. That they don't like, that's it. That's like their religion. And so it's like for us, like, we're too autistic, we're too particular, and you know, they're just gaining ground. And I don't know, it just terrifies me. It just absolutely terrifies me that, like, I'm very concerned about the Epstein situation, but I'm also, it just blows my mind. I'm like, I don't see pretty much any productive conversation around Epstein. And I don't know. I mean, I also just don't see any realistic things. Like, I just want, I don't know that I necessarily need to see a list. We already know who's involved. Like, I want to see people going to jail. I'm fine with that not happening immediately, because I do see, I guess this will kind of be the part that kind of ends up coming back to to Bed Bath & Beyond, DJT, MMTLP, GameStop, is all the positions, all the short positions that are out there are in other countries. It's literally probably in Brazil, it's in the Cayman Islands, it's in Switzerland, it's in Europe, you know. So the thing is like how do you make them close their short position if they will literally blow up if they close their short position? Um, you know, and it's like I think that you have to have leverage, right? And so, I mean, one, the United States built the infrastructure of all the drills and everything in Venezuela, and you know, I don't know. I mean, I think the way Trump's saying things, I think it could genuinely be good for both people. Um, so, but if that happens, right? Like if so now that the United States has really close partnerships with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and now is going to be Venezuela, that means we own the bulk of the oil. And, you know, who knows, the next biggest person is Canada. And guess what? Most of the money laundering through the United States was happening through Canada. So, I mean, I think they could be and should be next, to be honest. I mean, like Mark Carney is like, I mean, I have whole posts on him. I probably should pull it up, but yeah, Mark Carney is really, really bad. Like he was not only associated with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but like he just happened to be at all the major banks in like at the central bank in London, also central bank in Canada, all during, you know, things like when 2008 financial crisis, all stuff. So anyway, he's a bad dude. And you know, a lot of the I mean, it's not a coincidence that the mega group, which is the head of this mob, the world mob, is based out of Toronto, right? It's just not a coincidence, right? So the thing is that America can and should, because we have a strong military, because we work hard and we've made a prosperous country. Um, People have been trying to attack that by sending us their worst people and stealing from us and everything. But it's, you know, time that we take it all back. So anyway, when we fix that, I mean, even without fixing the situation with Canada, but I think we can and we will. We'll have access to four biggest, you know, sources of oil, and so we could, if a country, you know, big bank doesn't want to pay their debt that they owe with all the shares they've counterfeited from whatever stock that is that they've been counterfeiting. You know, Trump can just say, "Hey, we're all going to sanction you, and we're not going to give you any oil." And it's like, you want us to cripple your entire economy, or you want to make a deal, right? So I don't know. I think that's what's coming, and I think it's good because people they should have made a deal beforehand, right? They shouldn't have been counterfeiting all the stocks. They shouldn't have been doing a lot of that stuff. So, you know, yeah, I think it's happening, and you know, I'm actually wildly optimistic. I think the only part that's still confusing is the Israel situation, but which I didn't even want to talk about it today because I just hate the whole idea, everything about that question. Um, but I mean, one of the difficulties is like they have nukes, right? So like, you know, and they're either A, already placed in our country, or B, can reach our country, or other, you know, anyway. So it's like you can't just tell them to take a hike, right? So it's like everyone's like, just cut off funding from Israel. It's like, yeah, I mean, when they feel like they have nothing to lose, they can literally nuke the world. And if anyone's crazy enough to do it, it's them. So I don't know. I think people aren't really factoring that in. The other thing is, who else is making a deal, right? Like, why, who did Syria have a strong partnership with? Like, I don't want to see all these countries getting attacked, but it's like none of the countries that got attacked have any stable friendships. Like, if you're a country and you don't have any close friends, that's what does that say about your country? I mean, like, um, yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, it's all messed up. And I think that's the difficulty, is that it's like really hard to look at everything, and when certain components of it are so tragic. But I'm trying to at least do my part to at least help people be more aware of what's actually going on, so that they can at least be a knowledgeable participant. I think we should be beyond orange man bad or orange man good kind of mentality. This is a Gordian knot, and we should probably be trying to untangle it, because I don't know that we're going to get another chance to untangle it. I mean, literally, like, AI powered drones coming in and killing everyone. We're not that far away from that being a reality. So, when we already saw like the effectiveness of, them being able to use bioweapons against the entire world, they easily could have made that COVID a lot lethal. They really could have. They purposely didn't, because that wasn't what they wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, the technology is there, so we should figure out a productive way forward. So anyway, I love you all. This has been a crazy journey. I think things are getting exciting. I think things happen suddenly, then all at once, and I look at the framework that has to come together for us to get paid. And the Swift payment systems here, check. Literally couldn't happen without that, and that just happened months ago. Um, the Genius Act, right? I do think we have to get paid in stable coins. I don't see another way to do it. Also, we do need to bypass the Federal Reserve, and that's the best way to do it. So the Genius Act is genius, because theoretically, I think, and this would be cool if this is literally what Trump's plan is, but I think it might be, is that they need a reason to pay out a debt, but also, um, so so it's like, if we get paid, GameStop, MMTLP, um, DJT, RUM, all these stocks, AMC, whatever, say we all get paid out, then all those stable coins have to buy a bunch of treasuries. And yeah, so I mean, that it's like, then Trump can deal with the whole debt, the whole anyway, there's like some move where basically he's going to do that, and it just like kind of cancels our entire debt, which is crazy. And I guess other countries don't necessarily want us to do that, because they're like, that's not fair that you get to cancel your debt, but we don't. And it's like, yeah, well, I just hope we use it right. That's the thing, is it's really a shame. The biggest shame to me is that America has had this beautiful nation full of very capable people. We have all the resources we need, and we've just squandered it all into financial engineering and literally killing people. So it's like, I would rather be the light on the hill that's in power, right? And then use it for good, because I trust myself to do it more than I trust anyone else to do it. So I don't know if we come out with this, with canceling our debt, our national debt. I don't know. I just think we just have a duty to make it good for everyone, right? It doesn't mean we have to bring everyone over here. Definitely doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean we have to send checks to everyone. But what we can do is create like good trade deals, and incentives for other people to make their country great, right? I mean, it's also kind of weird. People are like, oh, Trump, is, pardoning the the president of Bolivia, and now he's friends with Qatar, who used to do Muslim Brotherhood stuff, and it's like, I mean, all those countries that were our friends while we were not in a good place, right? I mean, we're probably still the better pick, right? Um, but those friends that were good when we weren't in a good place, now that we're changing our ways, it's like if we left the bar, right? Like, we're gonna stop drinking alcohol. So we leave the bar, and one of our friends that we brought to the bar, we're like, hey, come to the bar. We were always the one telling them to come to the bar if they decided to leave the bar with us when we left. Like, I feel like that's what's happening. So it's like, I don't think those other countries were doing that because they wanted to. I think like our CIA was like, hey, look, you either traffic drug for us or we just overthrow you and put someone that will. So I don't know. It's all confusing. It's all messy. I am optimistic, though. I'm very optimistic, and I think things are going to be happening very quickly because now the whole world kind of knows that Trump's not messing around. And I don't know. What's one thing that's helped the entire time is knowing that Bill Pulte is there, really, really close to Trump, and so I don't think that he's going to let us get screwed. I think that he's just focused on the head of the snake, which is the Federal Reserve and Jerome Powell and Lisa Cook. So, I'm fine with him being totally focused on that. I haven't, and also him just fixing, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That actually is going to do a lot for our country. So, yeah, I'm very optimistic. Also, it's super cool to have General Flynn quote tweet me. That was awesome. It was definitely more encouraging because I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like thinking like, man, I'm doing all this DD and I have no idea who even reads it. Most people are scared to even share it because I don't know if they don't care to understand it, or I don't know. I have no idea. But all of a sudden General Flynn posts it, repost, and everyone's like, yeah, no, that is actually good. And it's like, I mean, I haven't been lying. It's like, um, anyway, so I'm renewed. My enthusiasm is renewed to keep digging, keep putting it out there. So yeah, I think good things are coming our way. There's some GameStop FTDs due on Wednesday, which fingers crossed. Definitely not betting the house that it's going to run this week or the next week. I mean, I think it will. I think there's like at least a 50% chance we see the run like 80 plus, 120 plus in the next week or two. But knowing how they are and knowing how they did me dirty like last January or the January before that, one of the Januaries definitely got me hard. The biggest option ramp every year or option chain is on the third week of January. So my guess is a lot of those options, not only do they not want to pay them out, but a lot of those options, if they end up in the money and they get exercised, they have to deliver warrants. So that could get really painful really quickly. So my guess is we either start seeing a run on Wednesday or we see a run the day after the trading day after the 16th, because they're going to make sure just suppress the crap out of that option chain. So hopefully someone comes, Michael Burry, posts about GameStop and posts a position. I mean, someone bought, 2 million shares. So, yeah. So hopefully that someone claims that. I'm like, hey, that was me. Yeah, let's run this, hopefully it was Roaring Kitty, and Roaring Kitty posts an update. That'd be awesome. I mean, that'd be really smart. We'll see. So, yeah, I'm optimistic. I think it's coming along with Bed Bath and Beyond. I think that Bed Bath and MMTLP will probably get resolved about the same time because it should take such a hit to the market. They have to like backstop it and coordinated. They don't want to take down the whole economy. I mean, now our economy is going to be more resilient because once they like kind of get cemented into place, like the oil thing with Venezuela, then it's like people aren't going to be panicked over, you know, JP Morgan, some other banks having to pay like several billion each, you know. Yeah. And I think there's ways also they can do it incrementally, like they can pay, because there's different like things that each different financial institution should be on the hook for. So who knows? Maybe they'll get a cash payment for just one aspect of the crime, and then another, and then shares later, or something. I don't know. There might be like some kind of incremental thing. Not really sure, but I'm optimistic. So anyway, love you all.